Welcome back to Conversations Unchained.
Before we get into the conversation, let's take a toast and sip of today's cocktail. Grape Expectations.
Oh, you know I love a good cocktail, y'all. It has a little tartness to
Well
it.
balanced and strong. All right, if you want to sip with us, please check out our mixed edition video for this cocktail.
Y'all, in this episode of Conversation Unchained, we dive into the world of travel choices, luxury versus budget travel. Should you save up and splurge on a luxurious experience, or should you stretch your dollar further to see more places on a budget?
We'll explore the pros and cons of each style, while people choose one approach over the other, and what really matters when it comes to creating memorable travel experience, from relaxation and convenience to adventure and affordability. We'll unpack the trade-offs to help you decide what works best for your style of travel.
Yeah, so whether you're a luxury traveler who loves comfort and indulgence, or you are a traveler on a budget who values experiences over all that extra, this conversation is for you. So kicking us off, Lance, how do you like to travel?
It depends. I think based on where I am today, I like more of comfort and convenience. I don't too much like the what should I say? I don't too much like the adventure anymore, meaning that I'm going to have to shy on a budget. I like to be able to do what I want to do when I get there.
Oh, okay. So you're a luxury traveler.
I would say so.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, it seems like you went around Aunt Jane's house to get us there. So I was just wondering. Well, y'all. So I am definitely, in my older age, I'm maturing some. I'm definitely a luxury traveler. I don't mind, waiting to take that trip to really enjoy it. And I want no muss, no fuss. So I think that, Lance, we just recently came back from a trip, and y'all be on the lookout for that video where we talk through our recent trip. We spent 15 days in Greece and traveled all around the country, and then we also entered into Turkey. So we have a video where we talk about that trip and go through it. So definitely it's a not miss. But Lance, let's talk about that one. I mean, so planning. How did we plan for it? I mean, what was our thought process?
Well, I think it kind of stemmed. It was an add-on from the Barcelona trip. When we saw how the Barcelona trip went, we said, hey, we like this approach. It allows us to see better things, more options for a specific destination. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where we kind of moved into, okay, well, let's go with this cruise travel plan and then fly into a destination, stay there for a few days, get on a cruise, go visit some other places, and then come back. And I think that kind of allows you, because for us, it kind of tells you, okay, well, maybe I can come back here and maybe spend a week or 2 weeks later in this destination specifically.
Yeah. And I'll say, y'all, Lance and I are very fortunate to have the ability to really plan out. So we planned that trip, I think, 2 years in advance.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So it was about 2 years in advance. We definitely knew what we wanted to spend, how we were going to spend it. And we had the 2 years to build that up and ensure that, we were on the right track. Well, again, I don't want to make spoiler alerts, but someone exceeded those dollar amounts, but we'll talk about that in the next video. But yes, so I would say from a luxury trip, and not everyone has to do this from a luxury perspective, but this is just our planning. Our planning usually is 2 years, a 2 years minimum to plan for a true luxury trip.
Yep.
So, and for us, just to give you a definition, I would say a luxury trip for us is across the water, right? I mean, I wouldn't think.
Yes.
It's definitely somewhere across.
I'm more of a budget traveler domestically. So if we're just traveling around the States, I am a budget traveler. That's a 2-hour flight. I can get on a 2-hour flight and go anywhere. My limit is if it exceeds 8 hours, then I need more convenience and comfort.
Oh, absolutely. Lance, sometimes I don't think you're honest when we get on Conversations Unchained, but okay. I'm going to leave
just
that
because
there.
you don't agree, that doesn't make it not honest. No. Thank you for your opinion.
So let's kind of talk through, but because I think you brought it up and you segued into this great conversation now of kind of the difference. You use the example of a 2-hour flight versus an 8-hour flight. So really, what are you think the pros and cons of actually the pro of taking a luxury travel or the con of taking a luxury travel? Which one would
I think it's just based on personality too, and also where you are in life. If you want to go somewhere and be more adventurous, you want to hit the ground running, you're going to spend more time out than you're probably going to spend in the room and different things of that sort. And I think you need to take that into account. So you may say, I don't need to spend a lot on hotel. I don't need to spend a lot on airfare, because when I get there, I'm going to splurge more in engulfing myself in the culture and the things to do. And if that's the case, I think budget travel may work.
That's the pro for budget travel.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me. What about you? What do you think? What's a pro from your perspective for budget travel?
For budget travel?
Yes.
I would say, I'm going to be very honest. The pro for budget travel for me is only the savings of the money, right? You're not going to break the bank in order to go down and take this trip. So I think that's the pro. The con to me to budget travel is sometimes you're thinking more about the dollar than you are thinking about the actual experience. And again, that's my take on that one. I think a lot of people would think different, but that's just my take. I think that, if I have to go on a budget travel, that I'm concerned, right? And I'm not going to be able to fully embrace myself in and what's going on, because I'm actually thinking about the money.
Yeah.
So that's mine. How about you? What are your cons?
I think for the budget travel, I think that's primarily it, right? But also, the stress is a big thing, especially depending on where you're going. If I am going abroad, I'm wanting less stress, more guarantees, if you will, and I want to be secure in my decision with more of a luxurious vacation where you kind of plan out and you're spending, you get more quality, I'll say.
Yeah. I would say the pro from a luxury travel perspective, I would say it's you really feel like you're truly on vacation when you have a luxury travel experience. It's like everything that happens is truly top tier. From the start of walking on to your, Lance and I, of course, support Delta. So walking on to your Delta One flight to the, that's the start of your trip. I am a big proponent that the flight is a huge deal. A lot of people say, oh no, I can, I don't have to have, the best seat on the flight, because as long as I get to my destination, I'm good.
Yes.
I think the flight sets the tone for me. And if I'm uncomfortable for 8 hours before I get where I'm going, I'm already in a grumpy mood, and it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad news.
Oh,
now,
grumpy mood.
I think the con for luxury travel, and again, I'm just speaking from our experience of Lance and I, is just then it takes longer, right? So again, we said it took us 2 years to take so we did our other big trip to Barcelona, and then 2 years from that, then we did the Greece trip. So usually we space ours out 2 years, so we don't do that yearly like a lot of people do. Which I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. I think it's well worth the savings to splurge for the travel, but that's the con. You don't get to see as much.
I think it's I think it helps you build too, because if you're doing luxury travel, it's going to force you to budget of some sort, because you're planning things out, what you want to do. And with that, of course, comes a dollar amount. So when you're planning that out, you're also planning, okay, I'm going to have to spend this. And for me, that kind of reduces the stress, where I think if you're doing budget travel, just from my perspective, you're being more spontaneous. So you're maybe booking things last minute. You don't know what the costs are going to be. You get there and you're just kind of playing it by ear. Yeah. And then if you're in a situation where you're playing it by ear, but let's say your bank account may not be there for it, then it's like, oh, well, shit, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily, myself, I'd prefer not to be in that bucket.
You know, I think you bring up a great thing, and I want to make sure that, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people already know this, but I mean, luxury travel too. You can create different budgets, and when I use the word budget for luxury travel, I'm more talking about maybe you take advantage of your American Express points, or you're taking advantage of your flight miles, you're taking advantage of these other things that you might have out there to assist, so you're not actually using hard cash, and you're using those things. That can even assist and help in your budget for your luxury travel. And then, and the same thing, it helps for your economic travel too. So when you're going on a budget, you can use that, standby ticket. I mean, I've never used one. I don't know how it really works, but I mean, you can use something like that.
Again, I think it all depends. Like domestically, I mean, not that I have done it. I probably would do it if I had the opportunity. But if I'm flying internationally, I am not looking to be on a standby ticket where you can get bumped, because that's going to kind of impact your days, right? So when you're thinking about vacation, if you don't make a flight today, you may be pushed to tomorrow. On one of the on this Greece trip, we were speaking to some individuals that I think they work for American Airlines.
Yes.
I think the husband had retired from American Airlines, and they did a lot of travel on those tickets. And they were older. And one of the things that the lady mentioned to us was, back in the day, it was a lot easier to take trips and plan trips on standby tickets with American. But they said now, and even for coming, I think they got bumped for 1 to 2 full days in a row.
Yeah.
So that impacted their travel and what they could do. So,
and I think the plus for them, they were retired. Yeah. They're retired individuals. They had nothing else to do.
If you're retired, that makes sense. But if you're not and you have to get back to a job, probably it's not going to reduce that stress. Yeah. But hey. Yeah.
I would throw this out there for anyone that is a budget traveler. I would always say that you have to have something in your back pocket. You cannot always push it to the limits, and you can't. And here's,
I think some things you just don't. Basically, you don't need to budget on.
Yeah, well,
guarantees.
I'm going to use the unfortunately that for the recent tragedies that happened in Jamaica for the weather, and you had all them people that that were stuck there and didn't plan to be there that long and had to figure out what to do. You can't, when you travel, you're going to have a backup plan. So I even think when you're traveling from a budget perspective, if it's definitely going to be international, you have to have a backup plan. You have to have an emergency credit card or something that you can depend on to fall back on that trip. And even domestically, if you really don't know anyone where you're going, right? I mean, so I would just say, regardless of which one you are, right, or whether you are luxury travel or budget traveler, you definitely have to have some type of backup plan.
Oh, absolutely agree. But you can, it all depends, like I said, on where you are, and you can always find middle grounds. Like you can balance here, say, oh yeah, I can kind of reduce the splurge on this, but take it up on another thing. And again, that goes into planning, and you should plan that out, especially depending on where you're going. For me specifically, that's internationally. If I'm just flying domestically or somewhere around North America, probably not so much.
I think you bring up a great point from a middle ground, right? Not everyone travels luxury and not everyone travels budget. And so you have a mix of friends that you would like to travel with. And then I'm really going to really focus on family in this one. So you might have, family members that really luxury travel is really not the best for them right now. You want to, budget travel is kind of their thing. So you have to figure out where like Lance, like luxury travelers like Lance and I, how can we meet them in the middle, right? Where do we do? Prime example is we were planning a Christmas family trip to Mexico. So we really were very conscious on the hotel that we were choosing, wanted to make sure it was going to be priced appropriately for everyone. And we still were able to satisfy our needs from a luxury perspective, but their needs from a budget perspective. So I think there's always a good middle ground.
And I think it plays back into planning, because it essentially, like, if you plan it out over time, like, folks can save, they can pay it over time or whatever have you, that kind of fits their budget.
Yeah, absolutely.
Group travel is another story for a different episode, but
group travel is an interesting one, y'all.
It is.
Only once in Lance and I recently, and you'll probably hear it a million times in our last video, but we recently celebrated our 20-year anniversary, and so we've had the pleasure to be with each other for 20 years now. And within that 20-year time frame, we've only taken one group travel, and it was probably a group of like 15.
It was 11 or 12.
Yeah, 11 or 12. And it was fun, and it was hectic, and it was tiring, and it was something we've never done again.
Any other items that you want to disclose in terms of pros or cons?
No. I think we talked about them.
Yep.
Again, I think whatever traveler you are, whether you're budget, whether you're luxury, whether you're middle ground, it's all about, in my mind, planning and being prepared and being ready.
Yep.
Trust me, Lance and I love a good, impromptu trip every now and then. But even with those, you always have to have a backup plan on what if this happens, what if that happens.
The hidden costs.
So yes. So you got to be thinking about those things.
Yep. Well, I think some of the main takeaway from this one is, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to travel.
Absolutely.
Right? It's about what brings the most joy and memories for you. And that will allow you to do whatever it is that you're looking to do when you get to wherever your destination is. So I think with either luxury or budget, you should have some level of planning that goes into it. And always remember, there is room for hidden costs. And that's for both luxury travel and budget travel. So
absolutely,
always keep that in the back of your mind.
Yep. Well, y'all, you know us. So we're always having these conversations because we're looking to spark further conversations. Not only, as you interact with us and leave your comments, we definitely want you to put down which traveler you are and why. Give us some of your best travel hacks and tips. We would love to share them maybe on another video of what you guys do from a travel perspective. But more than anything, we just would love to start the conversation. Take this conversation and start it with some of your close friends and talk to them about it. Let's all, continue the conversation. Let's continue to be open and talk through things that we enjoy and ensure that understand how everyone else enjoys. So I just wanted to make sure you all are starting that conversation and having it going.
And as we end the segment, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Conversations Unchained. Also, again, if you want to get more information around the cocktail that we are sipping in this episode, please check out the mixed edition and like, share, and subscribe to that channel as well.
Absolutely. So don't forget, we are linking one conversation at a time, and we are can't wait to hear from you all. So please utilize those comments, and thank you for everything. Y'all have a great one now.
All right. Take care. Bye.